Let's get real for a second. Being liked is easy, but being respected? That's a whole different game, and one that most women were never taught how to play. In a world full of noise, where attention is cheap and validation is sold in likes, true respect has become rare. But here's the truth. Most people won't tell you. Men don't deeply respect women based on looks, status, or charm alone. Respect is earned through how a woman carries herself, how she thinks, and the standards she refuses to lower. If you've ever found yourself in a relationship where you gave too much, stayed too long, or shrunk yourself to keep the peace, this video is for you. Because today, we're going to uncover the 5 unshakable principles that high-value women live by. These aren't trendy hacks or fake it till you make it gimmicks. These are core mindsets and behaviors that silently command admiration, the kind that doesn't need to be demanded, chased, or begged for. And here's the best part. You don't need to change who you are. You just need to reconnect with who you've always been underneath the noise. If you've ever wondered why some women walk into a room and instantly shift the energy, this is your moment to understand why. So grab your focus, silence the distractions, and stay with me. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand what earns respect, you'll embody it. Let's get started. Let's start with the foundation of everything. Self-worth. Not confidence. Not self-esteem. Not popularity. Self-worth. Because here's the truth. You will only ever tolerate the treatment you believe you deserve. Let that sink in. Most women are taught to be kind, to be agreeable, to be nurturing, and while those are beautiful traits, when they're not grounded in a strong sense of self-worth, they can lead to a dangerous pattern: over-giving, over-explaining, and over-compromising. Self-worth is what stops you from chasing validation. It's what keeps you from settling for half-hearted love, inconsistent effort, or being someone's maybe. It's the quiet inner knowing that says, I am enough as I am. I don't need to prove my value. I live it. And men, the right men, sense this. Self-worth isn't loud or boastful. It's calm. It's unshakable. It's the energy of a woman who respects herself so deeply that others can't help but mirror that respect back to her. Here's where it gets powerful. Self-worth doesn't demand. It attracts. It attracts better treatment, healthier relationships, and decisions that align with your peace, not your desperation. But here's the challenge most women face. They confuse people-pleasing with kindness. They confuse being chosen with being valued. And they confuse attention with love. If this resonates with you, it's not your fault. Society has conditioned you to believe that your worth is something you earn through appearance, performance, or pleasing others. But your worth is not transactional. It's inherent. When you recognize that, everything changes. You stop chasing closure. You stop justifying disrespect. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces you've outgrown. Instead, you begin setting boundaries that don't require explanation. You begin walking away from people who drain your energy without guilt. And most importantly, you start honoring your needs, not ignoring them for the sake of others. So how do you build self-worth? Start small. Keep the promises you make to yourself. Speak to yourself with the same compassion you give others. Protect your peace, even if it disappoints someone else. And remind yourself, daily, that your value is not up for negotiation. Because the moment you fully own your worth is the moment you stop being an option and start becoming the standard. Let's talk about one of the rarest and most magnetic traits in a woman: emotional discipline. Not suppression, not bottling things up. Discipline. In a world that encourages instant reactions, constant opinions, and overexposure of emotions, a woman who can stay centered, who can choose her response instead of being ruled by reaction, stands out instantly. Because here's the truth. Inner peace is power, and the ability to stay calm in the chaos, that's not weakness, it's mastery. Think about the women you deeply admire, not just for their beauty or intelligence, but for their presence. Chances are, they don't explode at every offense, they don't need to prove themselves, and they don't waste energy trying to control what's outside of them. Why? Because they've mastered what's within. That's emotional discipline. It's the strength to pause before reacting, the clarity to see through drama without becoming part of it, and the wisdom to protect your peace like it's sacred. because it is. Men deeply respect this quality, not because you're emotionless, but because you're emotionally mature. When you speak from calm instead of chaos, you elevate the conversation. You invite depth. You create emotional safety. And that's something rare and unforgettable. But emotional discipline doesn't mean you never feel anger, sadness, or anxiety. It means you don't let those emotions drive the car. Here's the problem. Most people, not just women, live in reaction mode. Someone says something triggering, and they explode. Something doesn't go as planned, and they spiral. But the woman who pauses, breathes, and chooses presence over panic, that's the woman who leads the energy of the room. So how do you cultivate emotional discipline? Start by slowing down. Practice responding, not reacting. When something triggers you, ask, what's actually bothering me? Create space between stimulus and response. Even 10 seconds can change everything. Journal instead of texting that angry message. Take a walk instead of spiraling. Protect your energy like it's a priceless currency, because it is. And here's the most powerful part. When you develop emotional discipline, you become less predictable and more powerful. People can no longer manipulate you with guilt, chaos, or urgency. They learn she doesn't play emotional games. She moves from clarity. That's attractive. That's respectable. And that's rare. And when you pair that calm presence with genuine inner peace, a peace that isn't based on external validation, you become unshakable. You're no longer at the mercy of who likes you, who texts you back, or who misunderstands you. You operate from alignment, not approval. So ask yourself, am I emotionally disciplined or emotionally reactive? Your answer will tell you exactly where your power is or where you're leaking it. Most women were never taught how powerful their voice really is. Not just in what they say, but in how they say it. The tone, the timing, the energy behind your words. It all communicates something deeper than the message itself. And when a woman learns to communicate with both grace and strength, she instantly becomes someone others listen to and respect. You don't need to be loud to be heard. You don't need to be aggressive to be taken seriously. And you definitely don't need to tear anyone down to stand tall. Real communication power comes from calm clarity. It's the woman who can express herself directly, but kindly, firmly, but with compassion. The woman who can set a boundary and still leave the door open for respect. That's the woman who gets taken seriously. Grace is about staying grounded when things get heated. It's about choosing presence over pettiness. It's the ability to disagree without disrespect, to speak truth without humiliation. And it's so rare in today's world that when a woman demonstrates it, it stops people in their tracks. But grace alone isn't enough. If you always avoid conflict or sugarcoat everything just to keep the peace, people will assume you don't mean what you say, or worse, that your voice doesn't matter. That's where strength comes in. Strength is the courage to be honest, even when it's uncomfortable. It's the ability to say, this doesn't work for me, without needing to over-explain. It's choosing truth over approval. Men respect women who communicate clearly, who can say no without guilt, who can hold space for others without abandoning themselves. That doesn't mean being harsh. It means being real, and being rooted in self-respect. Here's something most people miss: how you communicate in conflict reveals your emotional maturity. When you raise your voice, blame, guilt trip, or shut down, you're operating from emotion, not wisdom. But when you pause, stay calm, and respond with intention, you take control of the moment. And control doesn't mean dominance. It means leadership. Emotional leadership. That's what makes a woman unforgettable. When you speak with grace and strength, you teach others how to treat you. You don't need to repeat yourself. You don't need to beg for understanding. People listen because they feel your presence. They sense your boundaries. They recognize that you're not reacting from ego. You're responding from alignment. Every time you choose calm over chaos, clarity over confusion, and respect over reaction, you reinforce your power. Not just externally, but within yourself. You begin to trust your own voice. And when you trust your voice, others do too. The real flex isn't raising your voice. It's raising your standard. And when you master the balance of grace and strength in how you speak, you don't just get attention, you earn lasting respect. Respect isn't built by being available all the time. It's built by knowing where your energy ends and someone else's begins. Boundaries are not walls. They're invitations for others to meet you at your standard. The most respected women don't just know their limits, they communicate them clearly, without guilt, without drama, and without apology. When a woman sets boundaries, she's not being cold or selfish. She's being clear, and clarity is kindness. Think about it. The people who respect you the most are usually the ones who know exactly where you stand. They know what you tolerate, what you don't, and how far you're willing to bend. And they also know when you've had enough. Too many women were raised to believe that saying no makes you mean that speaking up is confrontational, or that expressing your needs is somehow too much. But here's the truth. A woman without boundaries will always attract situations that drain her. Not because she's weak, but because she hasn't made it clear what she allows. Setting boundaries doesn't mean explaining yourself endlessly or giving ultimatums. It means having the self-respect to walk away when something crosses the line, and doing so calmly. No tantrum, no guilt trip, just self-respect in motion. And that's a language people understand instantly. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you stop, and what you reinforce. Every time you let something slide that violates your values, you send a message that it's okay. And over time, that message becomes the standard. But when you hold your ground with grace, even when it's uncomfortable, you shift the energy. People notice. They either rise to meet your level or they quietly fade. And either way, that's a win. What most people don't realize is that boundaries are not about controlling others. They're about honoring yourself. They're not about punishment. They're about protection. Your peace, your time, your emotional safety, all of it matters. And when you make that known, you naturally attract relationships that respect those things too. Men respect women who know how to say, "This doesn't work for me." Not with an attitude, not as a threat, but with certainty. No negotiation, no begging, just truth. And the more you speak your truth, the less tolerance you have for anything misaligned with it. Respect begins where self-abandonment ends. The moment you stop betraying your own needs to keep someone else comfortable, that's the moment you reclaim your power. So ask yourself, where in your life are you saying yes when you mean no? Where are you staying silent just to avoid rocking the boat? And what would change if you simply honored your limits, out loud? The most powerful thing you can say is, "I love you, but I won't betray myself for you." That's not rejection. That's respect for both of you. Let's talk about something powerful, but so misunderstood: feminine energy. Not the kind that's performative, forced, or based on trends. I'm talking about authentic feminine energy. The kind that's effortless, magnetic, and deeply respected when it's real. Feminine energy isn't about being weak, soft-spoken, or overly agreeable. And it's definitely not about shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. True feminine energy is rooted in presence. It's calm, creative, intuitive, nurturing, but also strong in a way that doesn't need to be loud. It's the energy of a woman who knows herself and doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. There's something irresistible about a woman who is fully in her feminine, not trying to compete, not chasing, not overperforming, just being. She's grounded, she's receptive, she trusts herself. And because she's not constantly striving to earn validation, she becomes a space of peace for herself and others. That's what men, and people in general, deeply respect. A lot of women have been conditioned to believe they have to hustle in every area of life, be strong all the time, be independent to the point of isolation. But strength doesn't mean carrying everything alone. True strength is knowing when to lead and when to flow, when to act and when to allow. And feminine energy shines in the allowing, in the being, not always the doing. This doesn't mean you suppress your drive or your ambition. It means you don't disconnect from your softness, your creativity, your emotional depth, just to survive. Feminine energy isn't passive, it's responsive. It's not powerless, it's powerful in a quiet, undeniable way. It's the woman who speaks with warmth but sets boundaries with precision. It's the woman who doesn't chase, because she knows what she attracts when she's aligned. And let's be honest, men feel the difference. They respect women who are comfortable in their feminine energy, because it signals emotional maturity. It shows you trust yourself enough to let life unfold instead of trying to control every outcome. That kind of energy creates polarity, a natural balance in relationships that brings out the best in both people. But to access authentic feminine energy, you have to slow down, tune in, feel instead of just analyze, receive instead of constantly perform. It's a daily practice, letting yourself rest, letting yourself be seen, and honoring your emotional wisdom as a strength, not a weakness. You're not meant to be in survival mode all the time. You're meant to thrive. And your feminine energy isn't something to hide or mute. It's your superpower when it's rooted in truth, not performance. So if you've ever felt like you had to armor up to be respected, just remember the right kind of strength doesn't need armor. It needs authenticity. And when your feminine energy is real, unapologetic, grounded and honest, the world doesn't just notice, it respects you for it. So now that we've walked through these 5 powerful principles, you might be thinking, where do I start? How do I actually embody these, not just understand them? Because knowing the theory is one thing, but real transformation happens when these principles stop being ideas and start becoming your default way of living. And here's the truth. You don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You just need to be intentional. Start small. Consistency beats intensity. You don't need to change your whole life overnight. You just need to start showing up differently. One choice, one response, one boundary at a time. Embodying self-worth means honoring your voice even when it shakes. It means showing up for yourself the way you show up for people you love. It's in the way you talk to yourself in the mirror, in how you hold yourself when no one is watching. Emotional discipline starts with a pause, just one breath between feeling and reacting. In that tiny space, you get to choose who you're becoming. You train yourself to lead with presence, not panic. Communication with grace and strength. It's a practice. You'll have moments where you wish you'd said more or less, but over time you learn to trust your voice. You stop editing yourself to be liked and start speaking to be understood. That's where real respect grows. Boundaries aren't about keeping people out. They're about keeping yourself intact. Every time you say no to something that doesn't align, you're saying yes to the version of you who honors her time, energy, and values. That version, she becomes unstoppable. And your feminine energy, that's your quiet power, not the loud, performative kind, but the grounded, radiant presence that doesn't chase, because it knows what it's worth. The more you lean into softness without surrendering your strength, the more magnetic you become, not just to others, but to yourself. Remember, this isn't about trying to be better, so you're finally enough. You already are enough. This is about peeling back everything that was never yours. The fear, the doubt, the conditioning, and coming home to the version of you that's always been powerful. So ask yourself right now, where can I stop performing and start being? Where can I choose peace over proving? Where can I walk in alignment, even if it means walking alone for a little while? Because when you embody these principles, you don't just get more respect from men, you get it from everyone, including the most important person, you. You were never meant to shrink to be loved. You were meant to expand to be respected. And the moment you decide to live that way, from truth, from strength, from self-honor, everything changes. Not instantly, but inevitably. And if no one's told you lately, you don't have to earn your worth. Just live like you already have it, because you do. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. If these principles resonated with you, or if you learned something new today, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share which principle you're most excited to start embodying. Your journey to being deeply respected and truly empowered starts with that first step, and I'm here to support you every step of the way. If you found value in this video, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps this message reach more women who are ready to step into their power. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss a video packed with life-changing insights like this. I post new content regularly to help you build confidence, master emotional discipline, communicate with grace, and live fully in your authentic feminine energy. So if you want more tools, strategies, and real talk that supports your growth, this channel is the place to be. Remember, embodying these principles isn't just about attracting respect from others. It's about loving and honoring yourself deeply. And when you do that, everything in your life shifts, your relationships, your mindset, and your overall happiness. So take that next step today. Engage with me in the comments, subscribe, and share this video with a friend who could use this message too. Together, we're building a community of strong, authentic women who aren't afraid to shine. Thank you again for being here. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Until then, keep shining, keep growing, and keep showing up as your most powerful self.